We're back and better than ever. It is season 3 for Losing Sucks, and it is the 2023 NFL season. We're glad to be back. Travis, it's been so long. An entire offseason. We've been quiet. We've been content. We've been just chilling, vacationing, having babies. And we're here, we're back, we're ready to talk football. We're ready to talk fantasy football, more importantly. And I'm glad to be back on a computer screen with you, my man. How are you doing? Tell the people what's been up.
Doing great. Had a summer full of traveling all over the world with my wife, who just finished residency,
Congrats.
which is a great thing. I feel like I have a lot less time to work on the show, but here we are in season. She knows we have an 18 to 20 week laser focus on winning championships and paying the mortgage with that money.
That's right.
Dustin, you and your wife had a child.
We did.
Far more significant than any trip to Portugal or France, and far many more learning lessons. Give us one before we get into football, as a new dad to other dads who could become fathers very soon.
Sure. I'll tie it into fantasy, because one thing that I'm going to preach all season, especially in these first few weeks, and it's something that I would probably advise in the early days of fatherhood: patience. Take a breath. Don't freak out, okay? Just because you see crap for the first time doesn't mean that crap's not going to be cleaned up in a second and it'll look all brand new and cute again. Okay. But yeah, take it as it comes, don't freak out. Fatherhood's great, man. It's been amazing. Changes your entire life, obviously.
Does it put into perspective losing week 1 in the home league compared to other things in your life, or does it still sting just as bad?
Yeah. It makes you really appreciate just kind of how precious each moment is. Losing in the home league sucks. It's fun. It's fun. I don't know that I've ever had a team go an entire week with not a single player on my roster scoring a touchdown.
Allergic. They were allergic to the end
They
zone.
were allergic. They're like, you know what? It's week 1, but nobody said, there's no rule says we have to get in the end zone. We're gonna chill where we're at. And I appreciate that. I like that they respect themselves to stick to their morals.
They're saving them all up for week 2. That's what you got to tell yourself.
I love that. I love that. For sure.
All right, let's get into some football here, since that's what we do, even as fathers and world travelers. Football is the focus here, and there was real NFL football this past week. Mm-hmm. It was quite ugly for the most part across the board.
That's to say the least.
Some games uglier than others. If you compare yourself to Daniel Jones and the Giants, you did all right. But other than that, a lot of disappointments. Start at the top, Dustin, with what we call elite talent at the quarterback position.
Yeah, okay. So it was a disappointing week. Disappointing week 1 for a lot of the top-tier guys, okay? You had Burrow putting up less than 100 yards. Josh Allen throwing almost exclusively to Isaiah Whitehead. And
what the fuck was he thinking?
No idea.
It looked like all night he didn't know. He's like, what am I doing out here? That shit was terrible.
I have a hunch that he saw by this point, everybody knows what happened to Aaron Rodgers. He felt bad that there were going to be much less catches on the Jets side. He's like, you know what? Here's a chance. We're in New York. I'm going to help these people out. I'm going to do something for them that they never thought that I would do. I'm going to give them 3 free receptions. And then he's like, you know what? I'm sure that Zach Wilson's going to do the exact same thing and give the ball right back to us. And so here we are. But, man, he looked terrible. Lamar looked rusty. Dak, granted, rain.
Dak didn't need to do much.
No,
but the guys who did need to do a lot, like Burrow, Allen, Fields, that's what's really frustrating. It's like they had the game script to be themselves, especially Burrow and Fields. They were down all day. Joe Burrow, 3 points, opened what I called about an hour ago a small buying window in Dynasty for Joe Burrow.
If there's a window for Burrow, you don't deserve Burrow, first of all.
This is true. It's tough to move somebody like that. I pulled off a big trade. I told Party Crew I would give him a shout out at Party Crew on Twitter. We had a negotiation. It lasted about 2 hours. I didn't initially go for Burrow. I was thinking, what can I get for Garrett Wilson? I think it's going to be tough sledding.
Yeah.
Our buddy Eric said he's not a wide receiver 1 this year any longer, and I agree with that.
Yeah. No, he can't be. I mean,
there's no way. There's no path to it.
It was already a stretch to call him, like a top 5 wide receiver because we hadn't even seen that.
Right.
But I mean, if you go back and look even just last year, excluding this first week because he saved his week with a touchdown, his splits with Zach Wilson were god awful. He was honestly still a guy that you could contend shouldn't be in your starting lineup last year, and now you still have to ask those questions because you spent probably a 2nd or 3rd round pick on this guy, Travis.
Yep.
And now you're all of a sudden put in a position where now you realistically could be looking at, okay, am I looking to move this guy for a guy who's going to get more consistent play or volume? It sucks. It's not where we thought we'd see ourselves, but it is the place that we find ourselves in right now.
I do think Zach Wilson will be better than what we've seen. Thrown into the fire when you're not expecting to play that night,
right,
against Buffalo is not a great start for somebody like Zach Wilson. I do think Aaron Rodgers, I'm hoping that he is there on the sideline all year, kind of like he was in the preseason, helping coach Zach Wilson through literally every drive. I think that can very, very well benefit Zach Wilson. But
for sure,
I just don't think that their identity is going to be, let's just pepper Garrett Wilson as much as we can. It's going to be run.
For sure.
And so for that reason, I sold Garrett Wilson while I could. I think his value continues to go down.
Right.
The deal ended up being Joe Burrow, Dalton Kincaid, who looked incredible to me.
Awesome.
And Jahan Dotson, who I also think is a buy low after a 9-point week 1. For Brock Purdy, who I love, Garrett Wilson, and Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts still carries the weight in his name. 22 years old, he will be fine. But again, that's going to be a longer, patient game, and I just don't have it in my DNA.
No,
it's week 3. How does he not have 100 points yet?
But man, I'm glad you brought up the tight end position because that is also a position this week that absolutely put up a dud. We were missing the top tier guys, Kelsey, Andrews, and we were left with checks notes, top performer at the tight end position, Hunter Henry. And it's week 1. I'm gonna chalk up a lot of things to hashtag week 1. It's kind of the theme here. Like I said at the beginning, don't panic, but there are some narratives to talk about here. Like I said, it's not that they just decide not to play. They're hurt. They're injured. And it's week 1. That's never something you want to see. I have questions about these guys, man. You've got big names here that fell outside of the proverbial top 12 tight ends. And it kind of leaves you with some questions now.
By big names, you mean all of them.
All of them. Goddard, Pitts, Hockenson, Waller, Kittle, Njoku. I could go on and on.
Kelsey,
okay,
Andrew. It's your top 8. We're not in the top 12.
Yeah, I was more excited to see Rob Gronkowski on a USAA commercial than I was to see my tight end playing.
Who is killing it, by the way.
Yeah, he is absolutely killing it. In my fantasy commercial league, he is doing amazing things.
Shout out Boyd. Thanks for coming on the show. Big
Appreciate
friend of ours on Sleeper.
Yeah. Ben,
and on
thanks
Twitter.
for stopping in. Appreciate it.
I think I'm in
thanks for
5 or 6 of Boyd's leagues.
There's
Maybe
some good
more than any other universal commissioner. He's as good as it gets as far as being a commissioner.
He's a good fantasy headhunter. He knows how to bring in the goods, so to speak. Finding good commissioners for leagues. Cheers to you, man.
And he does make me pay for my 2026 pick trades immediately, which is fine.
Sure.
Not going
those are gone before the startup draft even goes.
I'm here.
So,
I'm gonna pay.
We know how Travis goes. Other top performers, QB1 is a big. Travis is a big fan of Tua. 28 points. Has that guy Tyreek Hill on his team. Yeah, he did. He's like, oh, well, I hear all that trash. I can't throw the ball as he unbuckles his pants. He's like, why don't you come over here? And just whips out that huge old dolphin.
It was so personal. Here's a 28 piece for you. It's so tough to continue to say he sucks because of the stats he puts up with Tyreek Hill and Waddle.
How many?
I'm gonna have to start saying yards? He sucks at NFL football. He won't win playoff games. They won't win a Super Bowl. But for fantasy,
I think they win that division. To be honest with you, I think they win that division.
He's gonna be a QB1 because of the weapons.
He is. Well, yeah, it's like the same.
Sucks.
It's like the same. We keep getting caught in these arguments, and I love it. But he's the same argument as Brock Purdy, except for he's better than Brock Purdy. You know, it's like all of his weapons.
Don't you dare.
All of his. I'm sorry to besmirch the name. What am I supposed to call him? Brown Jimmy Garoppolo? Because he's like 2 shades tanner than.
Or just Big Cock Brock. His God-given name. Oh, you mean called Tua?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
The limpy arm. Loaded with weapons.
Yeah,
Hawaiian.
That's what it is. Okay, we're moving on. The running back
girl.
one. How does it? Okay, I saw this and it didn't make much sense to me. But somehow Aaron Jones was the running back 1 on the week.
Yeah. Screen pass.
How screen passes, touchdowns. The Bears defense sucks. Like that was really tough to see. And
it's never surprising to see Aaron Jones be the RB1 on the week.
No. But it shouldn't be surprising, yet it is, because you just assume, oh, he's old, he shares a backfield with A.J. Dillon. But watching that dude play, he's electric.
And no one will draft him in the first 2 rounds.
You can't tackle him out in the open field.
Yeah.
Same with the next guy we're going to talk about, which tied to the QB one, is the wide receiver one. Seemingly the only wide receiver who had an awesome day. Tyreek Hill probably won you your matchup. He put up 39 points, 40 points in most places. It's wild. It's you know these names are big. I wish I had Tyreek Hill on my teams. I have him on a couple dynasty teams, but blow up weeks. We know it's possible. And now I love to see the confidence, man, because there's no cornerback in the NFL that can cover Tyreek Hill. And
it seems unfair.
I honestly
it feels like cheating.
He's going to finish as the wide receiver 1 on the year. That's my thoughts. I mean, not even going off of this, but they're literally that scheme is perfect for him. They build the entire offense around him, and Tua loves him. So here we go. You know,
Dustin, I can't
off to the races.
I can see the path. Obviously, Tyreek Hill has
sure he's done it
to
before.
Be the one. Yeah, but you don't get the Chargers every week in warm weather. You get the Jets twice. The Patriots twice.
Yep.
The Bills twice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which in fantasy is 40 to 50% of a season sometimes.
Sure. But half their games are going to be in Florida, you know?
This is true. This is true.
That's nice.
I'm very curious to see what Belichick does with Tyreek Hill this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Over under 130 yards.
Goodness gracious. You know what? He's good at... I'm going to go over, to be honest with you. I mean, he'll be facing a rookie cornerback. You know, Christian Gonzalez is no joke if we want to get hung up on this matchup. What a place to find ourselves. But already. But sure. I mean, I'll be excited to see that, because Mac Jones is also someone that we have mentioned in our honorable mentions. Mac Jones put up 316 yards and 3 touchdowns. So what a week
most
one for him.
Most passing attempts on the week.
54, yeah. And
unbelievable.
Which is why, I don't think he attempted 54 passes last year. So it's a wild turnaround.
Somebody on ESPN said their upset watch of the week was Eagles. And I was like, this guy shouldn't be on TV. It's not even a matchup. And it was. And they almost beat them.
But it's week 1. It's week 1. Do you guys? I don't
the Belichick
remember,
effect, though.
It might not have been last year.
They're gonna do it.
But a couple years ago, the Bengals had a crappy start and got beat in the first or second week, and everybody was sure, oh, here we go, the Bengals suck again. Then they went off in their Super Bowl run. But here we are with these great offenses that we're sure we're gonna be good, and then they get off to crappy starts, and then all of a sudden we're like, oh my god, well they suck.
Yeah.
No, it's different. It was still raining in New England. Or were they in Philly? They might have been in Philly. But still, it doesn't change the fact that Mac Jones...
I think it was in New England. It was the Brady Show.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they were. Yeah. They were in New England.
Maybe that was it. Maybe it's because he was in the building.
Sure. That's what it is.
My bold call, not that bold, but I think it's a Jalen Waddle week 2.
Interesting.
I think he out yards.
Well, then you and Ben are going to have to talk, because he says that he thinks that Tua was going to struggle against the Patriots in week 2. So
he's not going to be the QB1, that's for sure. I don't think he's in the top 5. Nobody
you keep
usually
doubting
is.
the guy. You keep doubting the
That's
guy, and
just
all
true.
he does is noodle arms his way to being the QB1. Okay. More honorable mentions: Eckler and CMC, of course, being the top guys that they are. They're going to get the work. Brandon Ayuk looks like he's an alien. And then Calvin Ridley, welcome back, man. You bet on yourself, and you're back here. We're really glad to see you back playing. And with that
he
elite
loves
quarterback,
being on ETN's team.
Oh, for sure.
I saw that block 1,000 times today on Twitter, and it never got old.
Yeah, you just posted.
He looked to the side when he saw ETN flashing up.
Yeah,
he looked to the side as if like somebody's running on the sidelines with me, and sure enough, it's ETN. Throws the block. Calvin Ridley gets a touchdown. That is, if that play doesn't make you say like, I want to play with this dude and play as hard as I can and not bet on my team, I don't know what does.
Yeah.
I doubt Calvin Ridley would bet on football after seeing how hard ETN plays for him.
It's hard not to love ETN on your team. He's just an effort guy.
Hey, a die 999, real quick. You don't have a copy of the show sheet.
No.
So for you to continue to not only demand but predict accurately what's coming up is not only inappropriate, it's not appreciated. We will get there. We will get there. Give us a chance to talk about your favorite players. Fuck, man.
No joke.
Next is, was it real? Was it fake? Our next name on the list, Travis's first real, is Tyler Algier.
Whoa! How did we know to talk about him? That's amazing. It's almost as if some loudmouth in the comments won't shut his mouth until we can get through the freaking show.
Tyler Algier getting enough work to be, at worst, a starting flex play every week. 19 touches, 94 yards, 2 touchdowns. We can go ahead and talk about Pitts in London in here too. The Falcons, much like the Jets, are going to run 2 running backs, and they're going to run until it's 3rd and 8 every single drive.
Yep.
And that's a lot of volume.
They don't want to throw that ball.
They do not, and they will not.
Absolutely. Nope,
Number 2,
not in a boat.
Rashid Shaheed is going to be a solid wide receiver 3. Dustin, do you agree with me?
I like Shaheed, and if you watch the way that they used him, they manufactured touches for this guy. They got him on end arounds, screens. They threw up deep balls to him. That offense is fun to watch because Derek Carr loves to throw it deep. I like Shaheed. I think he's a solid wide receiver 3 flex, and he's like I don't know. He reminds me of like Marquise Hollywood Brown a few years ago, where it was like, okay, he may not be getting you tons of volume every week, but each week he can get you that huge play that's like, okay, that's why he's in my lineup. If he hits, he wins.
6 targets week 1 with the attention that Olave gets. And then when Kamara comes back, Shaheed is more than just a one-play Traquan Smith type thing. He is going to be involved. Number 3, the Dallas Cowboys defense and the New York Jets defense are absolutely disgusting. If your studs are going against these 2 defenses, you should be scared. Lower your expectations.
Jeez.
They coming for your moms.
Dallas gets the Jets this week. It's going to get ugly.
It's going to be a bloodbath.
It's just...
Dustin, something has to be real for you week 1.
For sure.
Matter of fact, there should be at least 3 things.
There are 3 things. There are more things for me, but I wrote down 3. The first one, being a darling of the fantasy community now, is Puka Nacua. And he's real, man. If only for a few weeks, he's real. Because if you look back, Matt Stafford finds one target he trusts, and he looks nowhere else.
Yes.
It's going to be Puka, and he's going to get 10-plus targets. Granted, he's facing San Francisco next week, so there may be a small buy window opening up. I'm still okay. you weren't starting him prior to this, most likely. But now
Right.
you find yourself a position where, okay, now you have questions about guys like Garrett Wilson. You have guys like Drake London. You have guys like
Sky Moore.
Sky Moore, sure, perfect example, who you had in your lineups, and now you're having to wonder, okay, do I still want to take a shot on the upside, or am I gonna go for maybe some lower floor, but also some safe volume? Because yeah, maybe it's a bad offense in Los Angeles. Who knows? It's week 1. But going into week 2, he's going to get the volume, good defense. Even if he sees 10 targets but only catches 6 of them, that's still a decent wide receiver 3, which is what you were looking for. I like him. I think he's good for these first 4 weeks. And if you can buy him, even if after a bad week 2, I'd still look to buy him because those next couple weeks, you're still looking to get volume. And that's what you want until Cooper Kupp comes back. And it has a hamstring injury, Cooper Kupp does, and those don't tend to go away, super quick. I think, especially this early in the season, his age. I'm just saying, Puka Nacua could be a mainstay this season.
I like the point. You made with you did not draft Puka Nacua to start,
right?
But I think you're waiver adding him if you don't already have him, to start. Even against San Francisco, you're going to get the game script.
Yeah.
The guys that you drafted to be your wide receiver 3. And leagues like you and I play in, you have sometimes 3 receivers, 2 or 3 flex.
Sure.
The Jujus, the Sky Moores, the Brandon Cooks, Rashad Bateman. Yeah. I mean, he's jumping all of those guys immediately for at least the next 3 weeks. Yeah. When Cooper Kupp comes back and gets all of that attention.
Yeah. He's still going to get volume after that.
Who's to say he's not Robert Woods 2.0?
Sure. He may not be using the same way, but you're talking he may jump from... He had 15 targets week 1 as a rookie.
I think it's okay to spend more than 20%
you and I talked about this.
Budget.
Yeah. You asked me, how much fab should I say? And I initially said 15 to 20%. I'm going 20-25.
I think so.
And do what you can to get him because, look, 4 weeks of the season, that's about a quarter of the fantasy season. If you can guarantee that kind of production... in the first quarter of the season, that's worth it. That's worth a quarter of your budget. So,
and if you're going to start him, if you're going 20-25% of budget, with the intention of starting him, and you really believe, then you can package your Brandon Cooks, Rashad Bateman's
for sure,
and upgrade a little bit more to the Terry or Dotson or one of those guys.
It gives you flexibility, which is what you want.
Get him on the roster.
Yeah, my second real take of the week 1, Dalvin Cook and Breece Hall, they're going to be fed, okay? We know that now. It sucks about, you know what, I wanted to do that when we first talked about it, but why don't we just go ahead and get it out of the way now? Aaron, you and I have had a troubled past, and I'm sorry that this happened to you. But now I'm talking to the Jets fans, okay? As someone who knows about Aaron Rodgers ruining your season and all of your hopes for football passion and happiness, I just want to tell you that it gets better, okay? We can cut it off there because the tears in my eyes are starting to well up. It's all very sad.
When does it get better? When does it get better for Aaron Rodgers? When he's playing the match 45.0 against Brady and Mahomes next year?
That's right. I can't wait to watch him on CBS.
He may not play football again.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. It really is unfortunate. But going back to my main point, though, Dalvin Cook, Breece Hall, they're going to be fed. Breece Hall looked like a freaking stud. I myself had a little bit of doubt going into the matchup. I'm like, okay, they're gonna slow play him. They signed Dalvin, and then he goes out first touch of the game and rips off a huge run. I'm like, okay, I was wrong. He's still very, very good. He's not Royce Freeman.
Hard Knocks tried to show us that he was ready.
Sure. They did. They did their best.
23 miles an hour on a slant. That was all we needed, and we still waited until the 4th round.
He had 10 carries, and he had like 160 yards.
Yeah, he's
stupid.
Nice. It's just going to get better.
The third real point, Rashad Bateman is not going to be viable this year without an injury.
Yeah.
And I'm not touching him in my lineup. He's not
in any way.
No,
fantasy,
I don't
real life.
I wouldn't touch him, even if he were on, even if he were on fire and I
He's
had
your type, Dustin.
hands.
I find that hard to believe that
He's
you
my
wouldn't.
type. He's my type. What does that mean? Am I swiping right on him on Tinder?
Absolutely.
Like, what is this?
You've loved Rashad Bateman for a long
Yeah,
time.
I've gotten fooled before. Okay, he had a really funny line in his bio.
I would swipe right for Ronald Jones.
Oh God, do we
Just
have
like
to
you would
have
do
this
this
conversation?
for Ronald Jones is on the first show.
Ronald
of
Jones is
2023.
gone. He's
okay.
Stop.
That's it. You're done.
Stop
Ronald,
trying to make
especially while
Rojo
you're
a thing.
suspended. He's
Stop
suspended.
trying to make it a thing. You're hurting people. Let's talk about fake things. Let's talk about fake things. Tell me about things that are fake other than your love for Ronald Jones.
Other than Ronald Jones being a top 15 running back a mere 2 years ago. Number one, production in the Baltimore backfield being reliable. J.K. Dobbins is gone. I want
did he
no
take
part.
Vacation?
You know what? He did with Aaron Rodgers. They met at the hospital.
Yeah.
Same doctor, actually. I hear very similar experiences coming their way.
Oh,
I want no part of Justice Hill, Gus Edwards, and now Melvin Gordon.
Oh God! Did they bring him?
I
up?
will not be bidding on them.
Oh God!
On as far as Justice Hill, he's out there, especially in Dynasty.
Sure, leave him out there.
I'm not spending dollars on him because as soon as you put him in your lineup, it's Gus Edwards, it's Lamar, now Melvin Gordon. It's going to be frustrating. Leave the Baltimore backfield alone. If you have Justice Hill, trade him. Jacob, I will not accept your trade. You cannot dump him onto me, even for Zach Wilson, who is now a starting quarterback.
Yep,
Number
fair.
2.
That's fair.
Devontae Adams' slowdown is coming. I think that's fake. Yes, Jacoby Myers had a great day. No, I do not expect him to finish anywhere close to Devontae Adams in targets or points over the course of the season. Buy low on Adams if anybody is panicking after the big day from Jacoby.
Sure.
Adams still had 9 targets. It felt really quiet.
Yeah.
It was just a weird day for Jacoby Myers to get that. Yeah, Jimmy saw something he liked, and he kept going to it. Jacoby Myers probably not going to play week 2 anyway, so 15-plus targets are coming to Devontae Adams. Get him if you can.
At least.
Number 3, Justin Fields' quote-unquote poor week 1. People are overreacting like a motherfucker to this.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was a top 3 quarterback, I believe, from week 5 on last season.
Yeah, it was.
And you add DJ Moore, and you add Roschon Johnson, and you think after week 1, oh, well, he regressed back to the worst version of Justin Fields. No, he didn't. They threw more passes than he's ever thrown. His bad days, Dustin, are everyone else's average or good days. I'm just speaking fantasy. Yes, in real life, he will miss reads.
Yep,
he may lose some games.
Yep, for sure.
That are his fault. But fantasy-wise, he outrushed Bijan Robinson, Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley. If he connects on 1 or 2 deep shots, which they're going to continue to take more and more of, I really believe that.
For sure.
If he finds the end zone with DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet, or runs one in, this past weekend, he has 24, 25 points, and he's the QB 2 or 3 on the week. And we're not having this conversation. It is literally 1 pass or 1 rushing touchdown away.
Yeah.
That's the floor. We just saw the floor. It's 17 or 18 points.
Yeah. You have to give, you can't give grace to other players and then take it away just because of previous season narratives. There were some times where he looked rough, but give it some time, okay? It's the preseason. He still hasn't played a game in a couple weeks. He hasn't played a full game, So here we go. Give them some grace. We're giving, Burrow and Jackson and Allen all this room to improve. Give it to Fields. He's going to be fine.
If somebody freaked out, go get him. I went and got Justin Fields yesterday.
I moved
Trevor Lawrence in Dynasty for Justin Fields and Terry McLaurin. I know we're high on Trevor Lawrence.
We love him.
What it takes for Trevor Lawrence to have 25 points is so much harder than it is for Justin Fields to have 25 points. So, do I think Justin Fields in 10 years is the Bears quarterback? I don't know. I do think they give him 2 to 3 years more.
For sure.
I think he continues to get better, and at least for 2023, I think he's significantly going to outscore Trevor Lawrence. And you get somebody like Terry on top.
I love that. I love it. I can see it. I can see the logic. All right, going into who I think or what I think is fake, who I think is fake, what narratives I think are not going to continue. Look, we've already talked about the quarterback one production. So I'll just get that out of the way. QB ones are going to be fine. Okay. All the quarterbacks. So we can kind of skip past my first point. The tight end position. Okay. Hunter Henry led the position. I mentioned at the beginning of the show with 56 receiving yards. That's not going to continue. Okay. Darren Waller, was in a downpour. He had 5 targets. Okay. Not going to happen again. I think we're in line for a lot more volume from him. I think we're going to see, obviously, Kelsey's probably going to return next week, if not the week after. Mark Andrews is going to be coming back, has a big game coming up against Cincinnati. I think that's going to be pretty big.
Yep.
You've got all these other guys that just, again, it's week 1. Teams are trying to gel. You haven't had the game scenarios to go through with each other. So I think it's going to be much better. Don't freak out. Don't panic sell your big guys. I was telling our group that we talk to each other. We text each other about different stuff. Don't freak out in the first 3 weeks. Give it some time. After 3 weeks, if it's still trending down, then I'll panic.
Sure. But what are your thoughts, real quick?
Yeah,
before you wrap these up, because our man FF Rees, from the fantasy front line, is bringing up a conversation that we had in pretty decent depth over the weekend. Actually, I believe it was almost a week ago. Yeah, because it was a Thursday night game.
Yeah.
Jahmyr Gibbs, top 12 running back in 2023. My tweet said the only path to Jahmyr Gibbs being a top 12 running back in fantasy this year is for an injury to David Montgomery to happen. What are your thoughts?
I think that if it's a PPR league at any point, I think that Jahmyr Gibbs can be a top 12 running back, yes. I think I would even go to say I think it isn't within his range of outcomes to be a top 10 running back, because that offense, from what I've seen, they're going to be able to march down the field on any defense. Those offensive linemen get the job done. David Montgomery, lots of carries, but Jahmyr Gibbs going to get more work. If we like Aaron Jones to be able to do these things, I believe it's been my comp the entire time that Jahmyr Gibbs is in college, that Jahmyr Gibbs is Aaron Jones. I think Jahmyr Gibbs can do anything that Aaron Jones can do. So I have to give him the credit and say that he can be an RB1 this year.
Let's list off these top 8 here, and then we'll debate the fringe guys and see where he falls.
Sure.
Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, Saquon Barkley, Bijan, Tony Pollard, Nick Chubb, Josh Jacobs.
Yep.
That's 7. Mm-hmm. Do you think Jahmyr Gibbs outscores Derrick Henry?
I think it's not likely, but I think it can happen, sure.
Travis Etienne?
Same scenario. I don't think it's likely, but
how can he do that on half the touches of Derrick Henry?
So here's the thing.
He's not catching 10 passes a week.
He doesn't have to catch 10 passes a week, but the path forward for Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be he needs 15 touches. He needs 15 to 17 touches a game. And because he doesn't get his touches are worth more than David Montgomery's. Okay? Because he's catching passes.
David Montgomery gets red zone.
Well, if you watched the game, which I know you did.
Yes.
Jahmyr Gibbs he broke the edge so well. He completely faked out the edge.
So did DeAndre Swift all year.
Okay, but they didn't.
DeAndre Swift was incredibly efficient last year. I know draft capital. Sure. I know they didn't like him. I know they love Jahmyr Gibbs.
Right.
David Montgomery had 21 carries.
Right.
If you take 5 or 6 away from him,
sure.
Gibbs 12 to 15 carries, 4 to 5 catches, I think is a ceiling until there's an injury. And if you're not getting goal line, you're scoring from 20 yards out 8 times, I don't see it.
Okay, well, if he's not getting goal line, which he still could, I think there's still a path forward that he gets the 10 zone, the 5 zone guys. He's a weapon.
Okay.
I think that is their path forward. They
That's
want
fair.
him to have the ball. So we're talking about the backfield that was number 1 in fantasy points per game for the running back position last year. So I'm not really worried about how they're going to use them. They want that position to have the ball, and they're going to do it.
Brees Hall or Jahmyr Gibbs?
I'm going to go Brees Hall. But the more interesting conversation is going to be ETN and Jahmyr Gibbs. That's
okay.
Close. That's close for me.
I say he does not finish in the top 12. You say he does?
I think he does. I think he does. In a PPR league, I think he does.
He's going to have to get really hot over the last half of the year. And they're going to really have to slow David Montgomery down.
I think that Montgomery's going to be the between the 20s guys. And then once they get into the red zone, I think they're going to see some more creative ways of getting Jahmyr Gibbs the ball because he can do a lot.
Does DeAndre Swift do a lot?
No.
Did he last year?
If you looked, no.
He was really good when he got the ball. I mean, really good.
Sure.
And they gave Jamal Williams 17 touchdowns.
Yeah. I don't know what it is with DeAndre Swift with them. I think it might have just been a mindset thing. Everyone, I shouldn't say everyone, but I've talked to a few people, going back to like playing with him in high school and stuff like that. Like, oh, well, he was always injured, or he's always, finding something that he needs to rest. And I don't know. That's conjecture. I'm not going to say that that's a reason, but this team, obviously, to move on from a guy, literally tell him we will give anyone anything to get him off our roster, kind of tells me all I need to know. We know DeAndre Swift is supremely talented. We know the Eagles saw just an opportunity to have a free running back. I'm not sold on DeAndre Swift being a huge part of this offense's plans inherently. I think they like Gainwell. I know they like Boston Scott. And
I can't figure that shit out. I don't get it. Every time DeAndre Swift gets the ball, he's good. I don't know why.
Sure.
But you're right. There's no denying that for whatever reason, coaching staffs don't trust him.
Yeah.
They traded for him, and the more we looked into that the more we looked into the trade on Twitter, it was basically free.
Yeah.
It cost them $1 million. They will let him walk at the end of the year. I don't think he finishes top 12. I think it's dynasty classes a little bit heavy over redraft classes. I like Gibbs. I traded a lot for Gibbs in dynasty. But I don't think this year he's a top 12. We'll watch it close.
I think from week 4 until the end of the season, barring injury, he's going to be a running back 1. He's going to be a top 12 running back. It might take a few weeks, but I think from week 5 through the rest of the season, he's going to be an RB1.
Okay.
Every week, smash start.
All right, we will keep tabs on that. That is a very interesting one. Same team.
Let's talk about some players, though, Travis, that we're looking to go fishing for. Okay.
Jacob was our source. We have to cite our source.
Okay, yeah, I love this.
He did explain to us the trade that basically meant DeAndre Swift was free for the Eagles.
Yes.
Jacob has a knack for finding proof and citing things very quickly from very long ago. It's a talent that I can't seem to grasp, but Jacob, we are very appreciative of your hard work.
We love Jacob like a son. We've actually been working on the adoption paperwork for him and his wife. So we love you both very much. We're actually going to be naming the next podcast that we put out the Jacob Fabian Show. It's this big campaign it's a big appreciation campaign that we have going out. So please give us more. It's a give and take. But let's talk about some players that we're willing to go fishing for, willing to put out some offers, maybe talk to a scared owner, someone's freaking out. What's the scenario? Give me a guy that you're looking to target to bring to your roster.
Number one, like I said earlier, I don't think what we saw from Chicago is going to be what we see all year. Yeah. We saw in preseason, you give DJ Moore any space with a screen pass and he's gone. Yep. He looked fine in this game. It was a rough day for Chicago all around, we know. But I do believe that they get right, and DJ Moore, we've seen for years, is a very talented player.
Yep.
Better days are ahead for sure. I have a couple offers out for DJ Moore myself. We'll see what happens over the next 48 hours. Number 2, Alexander Mattison. I went heavy on Madison this year in redraft and startups for Dynasty.
Yep.
I'm still all in. Outsnapped Ty Chandler 73% to 17%. We've said in our group chat, is he going to get Dalvin Cook workload? The answer is yes. He's going to step in and try to be Dalvin Cook. He did have a receiving touchdown. This is his show. Buy low before the 20-25 point week because you won't be able to. People will say, oh, it's Dalvin 2.0. Try.
I like Ty Chandler. Call me an optimist. I like Ty Chandler.
These are dynasty glasses again.
How is it dynasty glasses?
Alexander Mattison, 73%. This is how they run their team.
Without looking at his totals, how many rushes do you think he had?
Madison?
Yeah. Without looking at the number,
8 to 12.
Yeah, okay. He had 11. He had 11 for 34 yards. Okay.
Yep.
And then he had 4 targets, 3 receptions for 10 yards and a touchdown. I'm not willing to sell the farm. Ahead. Oh, it's better days ahead.
That's why it's going fishing. DJ Moore and Alexander Mattison both fairly quiet week ones.
Can I add a
caveat?
Will
improve.
Can I add a caveat? If you feel like it, if you feel so inclined and have a roster spot open to you, please go grab Ty Chandler. Okay.
Would you trade Alexander Mattison for Jahmyr Gibbs?
Yes, 100%. 1,000%.
All right, who are you fishing for? I'm just kidding.
Would you trade this okay player for this great player? Yeah.
They will be very close in points by the end of the year. You will see.
For sure.
It would not shock me if Alexander Mattison outscored Gibbs. It would not shock me at all.
I wouldn't be shocked. Just I would not expect it.
Okay.
Christian Watson is my going fishing player. He had a hamstring issue. Okay, he's injured. He's damaged goods. He's no bueno. He didn't have any points in week 1. Okay, that's what I want you to stick to. He had no points. Didn't help anyone's fantasy team. He came in here, said, "Oh man, nice team. I'm leaving," and didn't score. Use that to go grab him because, as much as I hate to say it, Jordan Love looked okay. Okay, he looked like he can play. Christian Watson is the wide receiver 1 for that team. They are looking for someone to get the ball to, and he is that guy. He's going to get 8 to 10 targets a game, and he's a dynamic athlete. And I think, given the draft capital that you probably had to get to draft Christian Watson, that team might be 0-1. And
who are you giving up?
That's a good question. So,
also, strategy tip.
Okay.
Don't send the offer out for Christian Watson until he's ruled out after Thursday or Friday because he's not playing week 2. They will be a frustrated owner. They're probably 0-1 like you mentioned earlier.
Yep.
0-2 is scary. And instead of putting him on their IR, you offer them a fake starting wide receiver 3, a la Brandon Cooks, Juju Bateman, and maybe they bite.
So if you could get
Jacoby Myers, I guess he's not playing.
Yeah, if he's not playing, I'm trying to think of some names. If you've got Chris Godwin, if you got like a Chris Godwin out there who didn't have a big game, but he had a.
You'd rather have Christian Watson than Chris Godwin?
He's a wide receiver 1, absolutely.
Wow.
I would prefer that. I mean, I would prefer Christian Watson over Jahan Dotson, obviously. I'm looking here
for Jordan Addison.
I like Jordan Addison in that offense, to be honest with you. I think that's going to be
Courtland Sutton.
Yeah, I would send Courtland Sutton for Christian Watson for sure.
Sutton coming off the touchdown.
Yeah, touchdowns are big. I love that.
They inflate the points.
Yeah.
The common home league player doesn't see 34 yards or whatever he had. They see 12 PPR points.
I'm looking here.
Guys that scored week 1.
Yeah.
Versus the volume, move those guys that you don't think are going to get the volume, but they found the end zone.
Right. like Mike Evans had a big game. He had a lot of volume.
That's what Jacob just said too, right at the same time.
So we're right on the same page.
Okay.
Jacob, I'll show that up there so people can kind of see it. Evans, kind of a guy, like I said, falling off. Honestly, Michael Pittman, I would consider trying to sell Pittman for him. I love Pittman. I'm a big fan, but I think he's very similar to Christian Watson, but I think you're going to see more volume from the Packers offense. So I'll leave it out. I'll move on to my next guy.
I like it.
Christian Watson. Just talked about him. James
Buy
Cook.
him again.
Buy him again. Buy him twice. You buy him,
should we
sell
trade
him,
for him
buy
this
him
time?
back. James Cook is a guy I'm targeting because right now the narrative of that Bills offense is all centered around Josh Allen. They had a terrible week, lost to the Jets. But look, James Cook, 12 rushing attempts, 6 targets in a game where the Bills were still explosive. They were still throwing the ball down the field. They're going to be in the red zone a lot. And they want to use James Cook. They throw the ball to James Cook. And they're trying to get Josh Allen to not run as much, use those running backs, however effective that strategy is. But James Cook is going to be an explosive playmaker for this Bills offense. He's someone that we're going to want to keep an eye on and someone who's going to be a valuable part of a very valuable offense throughout the season. Right now, without a big game, I'd go buy him.
I agree.
That's something that I would look to do right now.
I agree with both. The biggest name that I fear I got wrong.
Yeah.
That is the title of the next segment. We each have one player for different reasons. Mm-hmm. DeAndre Swift, for me, I thought he was going to go off this week. No Rashad Penny. They held out Swift per Jacob Fabian all preseason like a featured back. I'm not sure what to do yet. I will probably wait for a big game and then try to move him to an RB needy team.
Sure.
Gainwell did not practice Monday or Tuesday, and they play on Thursday. Tomorrow is important. If Gainwell, for whatever reason, does not play, maybe they activate Penny, and it's the Penny show. Maybe it's DeAndre Swift's week. And if it is, it could be really good.
If DeAndre Swift is their running back, I just...
No! We suck again!
I don't know why there's a small percentage of the fantasy community that can't give up on DeAndre Swift. I'm still part of it. In Dynasty, actually, I did, and I sent screenshots to our group. I moved 4 of 5 DeAndre Swift shares for very good returns this offseason.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm not as in on him as I thought, but I do have some shares in redraft. I really do think that if he's given a real opportunity, he could do well there.
Yeah.
Yes, Boyd is in that camp. DeAndre Swift till he dies.
Well, hopefully for all of us, DeAndre Swift's career could be dead pretty soon. So
I would love if Gainwell missed this week.
Hey,
I would really love that.
I really don't need that kind of talk. I can't tell you how much I don't need that kind of talk. I need to bring that energy from here, bring it down here.
You are not banking on Kenneth Gainwell.
I sure as hell am. Am.
Wow.
Look, man.
Things change quick.
Look, you look for volume anywhere you can get it, and you could do worse than the number 1 running back on a high-powered offense. You can
just
do worse.
Stop saying it like that, because that almost feels like you've got my head and it's just like rubbing it in the ground. Like,
yeah, he's the
Kenneth
running back 1.
The running back 1.
The running back 1, and then the running back 2, Boston Scott, and then there are like a couple linemen that they would push in there for a couple of carries.
Holding my head down.
And then DeAndre Swift over here gets the water, keeps the running back 1 and 2 hydrated. He does a really good job.
Fucking ridiculous, man. Play the man. You just traded for him. He's got a dark visor. He went to Georgia. Shit.
He wears the gloves. He's got like the arm sleeves. He's like a creative player that you'd make in Madden.
Play him. If he sucks, then don't play him, but at least give him a chance.
I already touched on my guy, my biggest name that I missed on, Breece Hall. He's a manimal. He's just
you wish you had more.
I wish I did. I wish I would have taken the shot in the 4th round in so many of my drafts, and I didn't. I'm like, you know what? He's gonna split. Hard Knocks and Dalvin Cook. He's there. Okay. I didn't.
The worst part was that it wasn't like you were ready to click his name and somebody
No,
sniped
it's like
him.
I'm just off the board.
He was invisible.
I'll get him later. Goodbye.
I can't touch him.
Goodbye.
Yeah,
It was
a miss.
ridiculous.
Everybody.
I don't know why I did that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine. But you
You're
just
not
can't get
fine.
No, you're
You
not fine. You're not
chose to
fine at
pass
all.
on Brees over.
I'm sorry.
and
I'm
over
sorry.
again.
I thought we could be friends. I'm sorry. That's what can I say? What can I say?
All right, let's
We're
change the tune here. Victory lapping, which is what we see a
Let's do
lot
it.
of on Twitter. I told you so. Sometimes
Yeah.
we do actually get things right. So
Sometimes.
it is fun to look at what you get right and wrong. We do a good job, I feel like, on this show of being accountable when we do the wrong thing, when we draft the wrong player, when we make a
Happens a
bad
lot.
trade. We just say it. It's easier to share pain.
Yeah.
However, sometimes we get things right.
Yeah.
My number one victory lap player from week 1 was none other than Brandon Ayuk. I have him in 6 of 7 redraft leagues. I took him in almost every single 5th or 6th round that he was there, all but one.
Hell yeah.
The quote that stuck in my mind from the offseason,
If you ain't got haters, you ain't popping.
that's a great one. I don't know if it was Debo or Shanahan. Somebody said, you could not cover Brandon Ayuk in a shoebox right now. And that stuck in
love
my
that.
head because that is a hell of a compliment. If you can't guard somebody in a shoebox who's that big, I
How do
want
you even
him.
get in a shoebox?
I want him
What kind
on
of
my team.
shoes are coming in a box that big?
I think it was Shaq's shoebox. Shaq brand shoes as well.
Okay. Well, that's a deal. You know, it's
Little
really-
spinny wheel on the side. Brandon
Love
Ayuk was
that.
in there spinning the wheel, catching everything in preseason, and now he's catching everything on my team.
God, love that. Catch these hands.
I was very happy with my
Yeah.
amount of drafting of Ayuk. Dustin, who is your victory lap from week 1?
Look, I'm really happy to as a homer. I'm really and this is a half PPR league. You know, this is a running back. I'm glad to see him wearing my colors. But Roschon Johnson, man, finishing the week as an RB1. You know, the running back 12 on the week. This guy looked good. Okay, and
really did.
I've been saying this all offseason. Roschon Johnson is the guy you want in that backfield. He does everything that the other guys that they brought in do. You know, Deontay Foreman, he's a power guy, straight, downhill runner. Roschon Johnson can do that. He can lay the lumber on guys in the hole. Khalil Herbert, really good pass catcher. He can run between the tackles, but he's more of an outside zone kind of guy, break tackles in the open field. Guess who else can do that? Roschon Johnson. And
People were
Roschon
bouncing off of him.
He is like rubber, okay? He just...
I was like, why'd you say that? Oh, yeah, bouncy. Okay.
Yeah, bounce, glue.
Good job,
yeah,
good job, Brain.
I went to elementary school. Don't mean to
Rubber
brag.
bouncy.
But Roschon Johnson, man, this is a bad motherfucker. Okay, you give him the ball, he runs downhill, and he can do everything. He's got great hands, and everybody thinks of him as he was a backup running back in college. Yeah, to Bijan Robinson. Okay, and even then they told Bijan, hey, why don't you hit the pine for a couple carries? We're gonna get Roschon in here because he can also kill these accountants on the field, and we're here. Okay, Roschon looks great, and it's only a matter of time before they give him the bulk of the carries, and you're going to be seeing him pop up in these week 1 or these RB1 final rankings each week because he's just that dude on a run-heavy offense. So
So is he a victory
Victory
lap
lap.
because you have plenty of shares, or because you thought he was good, and he is
Both.
good, and now you're waiting for a bad week to go get him?
both. I don't have him in redraft. I waited a little bit too long in a couple of drafts, but Dynasty, everywhere I have him, he's a really, really just good running back, and you're going to see throughout the season. If they have a rough week against Tampa, I'm 100% making some offers and going to acquire him because he is going to get better as the year goes on. The dude's a hammer, and everybody on the defense, it's a nail.
Tampa is perennially a
Perennially?
tough run defense. They're fast. They're always there. Maybe that's why Madison had a quiet week 1 on the ground. It might be why the Bears running backs do week 2.
Could
Could be
because
a
he
time to
sucks.
buy. Could be because he sucks. All right, we have
Could be.
about 5 minutes left. All of our viewers
Yeah.
are welcome to ask a question about anything. This is a quick Q&A.
Yeah.
Life, football, anything. About our
Well,
personal lives, about
Ask
our
me about
futures.
my taxes. Ask me
will
what
answer as much
fertilizer
as
I
we
use
can.
on my lawn. But right now, while they're kind of thinking of questions, if they do send them our way, Travis, one question: Anthony Richardson, is he a buy high for you?
Dynasty?
Redraft or dynasty? Let's take redraft. Is he a buy high for you after a really solid first outing against a Jacksonville? Or no, who do they face? Do they face Jacksonville? They face Jacksonville. Yeah.
I don't know if he's technically a buy high for me because I didn't leave a draft without Herbert or better.
Sure.
And I don't think I would start A-Rich over Herbert, Burrow, Allen, Mahomes, Fields.
Okay. But like for teams that have starting quarterbacks of like Daniel Jones,
Yes.
Geno Smith, guys
that missed it.
not Tua, but
Guys that missed it and they took like a Kirk Cousins.
Deshaun Watson, maybe.
Yeah,
You
Kirk
know?
Cousins is going to be fine. Watson's going to be fine. But there's going to be teams that have A-Rich as a second because of how late he was going.
Yeah.
And they may need a Roshan Johnson or
Sure.
I don't know why I keep wanting to say Brandon Cooks, but there's names that people know
Sure.
that the upside of Anthony Richardson is worth
Yeah.
moving your bench guys.
I mean, goodness gracious. This can't be real. Allen Robinson scored more points than Deebo Samuel. Is that a thing?
Robinson
Oh, God,
was
it is.
quite involved. Deontay's going to be out for probably 3 to 4 weeks.
Oh, man.
George Pickens is not a volume guy. He is not a possession guy.
But he's going to see more volume.
He will. But Allen Robinson's, like, it's not a joke that he slides into more of a Deontay role.
Oh, the
He's
situation's
a
not a joke.
Right. He's going to go 6-8 yards,
Sure.
turn around, and get the ball.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing
So-
with Allen Robinson. Like, if you need 8 yards, he's going to get you 8 yards. If you need
Right.
10 yards, he's going to get you 8 yards.
Yes.
Like, that's the thing with Allen Robinson right now.
But he will be playable in deep,
Sure.
deep leagues.
Yep. Like, if you have, like, 15 starting spots and you need a guy to put in that end of the starting spot, absolutely. You throw Allen Robinson in there. Why not?
Antonio Gibson fumbled. There was a lot of buzz on Antonio Gibson and his new role with Eric
Goodness
Bieniemy.
gracious. Sure.
A younger, stronger Jerick McKinnon does not feel right now like that's going to be the case. Brian Robinson with
Yeah.
a lot of work. 19 carries.
Goodness gracious. Yeah, they're gonna hand him the ball till he pukes. I mean,
Is Antonio Gibson dead?
we fell for it. I feel like I can't
Again.
I can't confirm everything just because it's week 1, so I don't like freak out. But I feel like we got fooled by offseason speak again by Riverboat Ron.
Yeah.
We got to find more ways to get him the ball. It's like they don't want him on the field. They're like, we have literally anyone else. Can we? I'm still mad that I fell for them saying, "Oh, we're gonna use him to Christian McCaffrey role," and then here we are. I'm holding the bag.
It's frustrating.
A guy got shot, and they're like, "Hey, if you can get to the practice facility by Friday, we'll play you over Antonio Gibson." And they did it.
I didn't see a lot of this game. What did Javonte Williams look like?
He looked good. He looked
Okay.
really good. That is a guy. If you can, he almost made my buy list for going fishing. That if you can, he didn't have a blow up game. You know, Javonte is going to be their back. If you know anything about a Sean Payton offense, it's that volume running backs are kind of his thing.
Yeah.
And the fact that look, we all have already fallen in love with Breece Hall. He's an amazing athlete. He blew up his knee and he's back because he's a freak. Javonte Williams, also a great running back, and didn't have a blow-up game, but also had, I think it was like 15, 17 touches in this game. Let me find out exactly how many, but he's going to get volume throughout the season. He's going to get better, and that's exactly what Sean Payton wants. And I don't care about Samaje Perine. I don't care about Jaleel McLaughlin or whatever his name is. It's Javonte Williams. They're going to run that offense on the ground. Let's see. I want to see how many touches he had. He had 13 attempts, 4 receptions. Yeah, so
That's a good week 1.
that's a good week. That's a good week.
People are losing their minds on Twitter about Kyron Williams as a waiver ad. I think
Look.
it's a fraud. I think it's a fake thing. I would much rather. Let me put this graphic up here. I would much rather have Joshua Kelly than Kyron Williams. Cam Akers carried it 20-plus times. They just gave Kyron goal line. You're not going to get that every week.
You know,
sure, he had 15 carries, but...
Sure, he had 15 for 52.
Akers out-carried him.
I mean, granted. So it's like, what do you want to play on, right? Because it's still week 1. That's the overarching narrative.
This is what I want to play on.
Cam Akers had... Well, sure, that's Austin Eckler, Joshua Kelly. We know that. But
that is that's your player at running back.
Right, but Kyron Williams, we want to stick with him, right? So Kyron Williams, 15 for 52. Cam Akers, ugly, 22 for 29. That's awful. But at the same time, you have to kind of take it with a grain of salt because like they're giving more work to Cam Akers. Are they realistically going to continue giving work to the small Kyron Williams, who is not an explosive athlete? That's not to say that Cam Akers is still explosive. I mean, he is, for all intents and purposes, still having to prove himself after this Achilles injury. And we know all this drama that came from last year, and they're going to trade Cam Akers, and he comes back and has a whole bunch of carries at the end of the season. They're going to give him work probably, but it's kind of one of those things. I don't believe that Kyron Williams is ever going to be a volume guy.
Yeah,
pick him up. You he's a wait and see kind of guy, but I don't think that Kyron is going to be some workhorse back. He's a flash in the pan week 1 guy. You don't want to give Cam Akers 30 carries to start out the season. So I don't worry about that.
All right. Last word. We have a waiver article written by Jared Holland, a member of the Losing Sucks team, that is posted on the website. I posted it on Twitter this afternoon. Hopefully you saw it in time. You have a few hours to put those waiver claims in. I will retweet it again to remind people to go look at that article. He does great work. He dives a little bit deeper than your normal top 10, top 8 waiver guys because there are some deeper leagues. He goes for deeper players, and he explains why. It's not just a blind follow me type article. Big fan of Jared's, big fan of the articles. Each week he's going to do that. I will be back on Thursday, as many Thursdays as possible, probably towards the end of the fourth quarter, and we'll preview the upcoming weekend. Dustin will be here when his baby allows it.
I'll be around.
Yeah, we'll both be around. We're not going to do every show together because we may have different things we want to talk about or different availability.
Yeah, or different guests. Who knows?
Yeah, that's the plan. And...
yeah,
it just feels good to be back.
Feels good to be back on the mic. Glad to be talking football. Heading into week 2, remember, heading into Thursday, take those Thursday players, put them into your starting lineup and out of your flex. And y'all will hear from Travis and or myself on Thursday. And remember, losing sucks. Oh, I've waited to say it. Losing sucks. Don't do it.